Hello and welcome to This Day Devo. My name is Pastor Guy, and I'm glad you're here with me for our second day in the book of James. We read James chapter 2, verse 14 through chapter 3, verse 18. In this passage, we continued to see faith without good deeds is dead in some very blunt ways. We learned the impossibilities of controlling and taming the tongue. And we read about true wisdom coming from God. James is taking us deeper into this understanding of faith without works is dead. This understanding of how it's not just what I say I believe, but it's how I follow through with that belief that makes the difference. And he does so with just remarkable illustrations. I mean, the man is gifted in his inspiration. But I want to pull one interesting thing out of here for us today. You believe in God. One of the things that I hear quite often from people, whether, people kind of walking on the streets, if you will, they'll say, well, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in God. Yeah, I don't need to come to church. I believe in God. I don't need to read the Bible. I believe in God. I'm good. I believe in God. But James gives this to us bluntly. And I never noticed this until today, to be honest. In terms of how this makes sense, he says, you say you have faith because you believe that there is one God. Good for you. But even the demons believe this, and they tremble in fear. How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless? Show me your faith by how you live. What does this tell me? This tells me that the simple response, I believe in God, is intellectual acceptance that there is a God, and that is not faith. Because demons believe that God exists, and they shudder. And so that kind of faith, that's not a saving faith. That's an intellectual, I believe God's up there. But that's not a saving faith. A saving faith is a faith that repents to the name of Jesus Christ and follows through with how you live, which is the follow-up piece of what James is telling us so bluntly and so beautiful as we understand that even Abraham had to prove his faith by being willing to offer his son Isaac on the altar. And so we're shown that we are right with God, not by faith alone, but by what we do. And so my faith is alive, just like with the breath in my lungs, verse 26, my body's dead without breath, my faith is dead without good works. What is your faith stirring you on to do today? And then James gives us this more of those beautiful illustrations, right? When he's talking about taming the tongue, I didn't know that, he says, he's like, you can tame animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. I didn't really know you could tame fish. I mean, I guess you can raise fish, you could capture fish and put them in a tank or a pond. I don't know that you would call that taming, but the Bible does. So you can tame a fish, but you can't tame your own tongue, because from that same place comes praise and cursing to people who are made in the image of God. And so we thank God for all the kind of grace that we strive to have self-control over that tongue, to say things that are only good and pure and honorable and beautiful and uplifting to people. And so this is a challenge that by God's grace we submit to Him and say, Lord, help me. And especially, myself as a preacher, I use a lot of words. My wife would not tell you that I run out of things to say very often. In fact, if I'm quiet in the car or at the breakfast table, she'll say, okay, what's wrong? Because she's just so used to me talking so much. And that's something that I need to be cautious of, because in all this talking, I can put my foot in my mouth. I can say too many things that, are not uplifting. I have to be careful. I have to be intentionally positive and loving and only saying things that are good. And I think that's true for all of us, obviously, from this passage, because it's just like a spark going off into the forest. One little spark can cause a forest fire. One little word can tear apart a relationship that you've been cultivating for decades. And so we have to be cautious with this and prayerful in our approach with this, and allow God's grace and mercy to completely coat every word that comes out of our mouth. May the words that come out of my mouth be a declaration of my faith in Jesus. They must mirror that. They must mirror that. Or it shows that, is my faith really there? Is my faith really real if it's not changing the way I talk? Let it change the way you talk in a way that every word is honoring and glorifying to God. So let's go and do likewise and be those kind of wise people that God calls us to be. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Every word sent down from heaven has the power of Christ.